Hello and welcome to the Leaders Interviews. The Leaders Interviews are interviews with chiropractors around the world who've led the profession in some capacity or other, or are thought leaders in and associated with our profession. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Mustafa Ağaoglu, who is the president of FICS, the International Federation of Sports Chiropractic, and also the president of the Turkish Chiropractic Association. And Mustafa was instrumental in starting the first chiropractic program in Istanbul, in Turkey, some years ago. And he's also very much involved in progressing the profession in Turkey currently. The profession in Turkey is tiny. My last count was 15. Is that right, Mustafa?
No, actually, we're 6 practitioners from abroad.
6?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we've got a way to go to grow the profession. So with the profession emerging in Turkey, what are the challenges that you face there?
Well, you can itemize the challenges in various different under titles. One of them would be traditional practices, like bone setting. So you have a huge population of lay people working as bone setters. They are not accepted by the medical field. However, people go for simple mechanical problems that are not properly defined, obviously, by the lay people, but they do what they do, and some get better, some don't. And so as a result, it's a demand and supply relationship. There's a big population. They will seek these practitioners, and with the advancements of technology and availability of spinal surgery in simpler ways in comparison to 20, 30 years ago, the neurosurgeons in Turkey or the orthopedic spine surgeons will take the avenue of surgery almost primarily, and so announce the surgery. And so the people, obviously, they do get afraid. They do have a tentative approach to it, and they will seek any alternative that they can actually get their hands on. And bone setters is actually one of them. So this is a big challenge for the emerging chiropractic profession and for the practitioners in Turkey, because you have to sit there and try to explain the difference between the more scientific approach, the level of education, the profoundness of your knowledge versus the layperson. So this is a big challenge. The other challenge is actually getting your thoughts across to the prejudiced minds of the medical practitioners in Turkey. Yet that challenge, actually, if it's played wisely, becomes your biggest asset. So there's a big population of MDs. They're very public health thirsty, and they want to protect their practice, and they also want to protect the public. So they're interested in what your level of education is. Over the years since I've been in Turkey, I've been invited to different platforms to present on chiropractic, and this actually took me to absolute highest level. Just over this past pandemic year, I've actually been included in the National Directory of Neurosurgeons, where they do online presentations and scientific presentations. And I was invited, and I was able to deliver a presentation on the scientific evidence of spinal mechanical dysfunctions and spinal manipulations. And it was taken tremendously, and it was actually applauded, and it's so There are traditional challenges, there are challenges within the system, but if you actually, work the Chinese philosophy, the yin-yang theory, and actually you could make it work for you. The other challenge would be economical. Obviously, it's a private expenditure, and so the income per capita is not great in Turkey, and so you try to make a decent living for yourself, and so your fees per visit sometimes tend to actually challenge the patients consulting. So you do end up giving not, I don't want to say plans, but if there's a family coming in, you won't charge the kids. If it's the wife and the husband, you'll reduce your fees, whatnot, just so that they can get your services, type of thing. There's just various different challenges.
Yeah, yeah. And you worked in Florida for a while, I understand. And how does it compare from working in America and Florida with working in Turkey? I mean, you've outlined some of the challenges in Turkey, not least of all medical prejudice and the bonesetters, the traditional manipulation arts as they might be considered. So how does it compare with practicing in America?
Yeah. Well, obviously, in the States, it's been over 130 years. And so the consumers are actually educated and knowledgeable, and they come to you with what to expect. So you have to meet that expectation on how you present yourself. They expect some sort of a reporting on their condition. And if you offer them out of the norm, acceptable care, they will question you. Versus in Turkey, you could tell them, well, I need to see you 30 times. They will come and see you 30 times. Right. Or if you tell them, I can cure you, I can cure your operable disc herniation with one visit, but my fee is £1,000. They'll pay for it. Yeah. In the States, you're the family chiropractor within that neighborhood, within that community, and people will come. And they won't travel more than 30 minutes to visit you. In Turkey, they'll take a plane. They'll travel from one province to the other just to see you. If you're referred to that person through a good friend or a family member, it's like, oh, this doc, from the States is really good. He put me on this table, and the table dropped and popped. Something happened, and all of a sudden, I was healed. So you got to go see him, and they'll travel. It's amazing. Yeah. So there's quite a bit of difference.
So, I mean, you've also worked in Peru as well, I understand. So you've seen quite a breadth of chiropractic practice in different countries. What do you think the main challenges facing the profession are?
Well, I would say I think there needs to be a global consensus on what chiropractic education should be. I would say, that is one of the weak links. I know we have accreditation agencies like the CCE, the ECCE, the CCEA. However, that still doesn't set the tone on what chiropractic education should be. And so I would say, that is one of the weak links. And obviously that differentiates the practice standards as well. In some states, you can do acupuncture. In some countries, you can do intramuscular vitamin injections. In some states, you have access to a prescription pad where you can prescribe just basic analgesics. yet in some places you can't even do massage, or better yet, recognized as a professional. So I think the profession needs to be more proactive, somehow working with national associations to bring them to some level of standardization globally. Like in Peru, when I went to Peru, I was actually getting ready for my national boards, and from a friend of mine who had graduated a year before I did, I received an email. She says, Moose, my uncle, he needs a chiropractor. I'm actually in the clinic. One of the other chiropractors left, and I'm shorthanded. So would you like to come and work in Peru and gain experience? And in the meantime, you can, study for your national boards. I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I went to Peru, but the profession is not recognized in Peru. It doesn't have legislation or regulation, yet my diploma was able to get recognition so I can practice in Peru. Versus in Turkey, it's 18 years now. We're still working on legislation or regulation or some sort of educational standardization. And it's actually up to about 5 years ago, it was illegal in Turkey. Now it's actually illegal. So you can actually face up to 2 years of imprisonment. Yet recently we've read on the World Federation of Chiropractic newsletter, Uganda just got legislation. Or in Middle East, like Lebanon has chiropractic legislation, like we have in UK or in the States. So it's a lot. It's a very bumpy stage, and I think we all need to somehow work on it to smooth it out. So there's some sort of professional unity.
So that brings me on to the challenges that you face as the Turkish Chiropractic Association, with 6 chiropractors in the country and a legislative agenda which seems to be making life very difficult, in fact worse for chiropractors. Do you fear for the future of chiropractic in Turkey?
The health ministry has actually worked on a broad regulation regulating the traditional, complementary, and alternative medicine practices. Of the 13 topics that they have regulated, chiropractic is one of them. They have also worked on the educational components to each item except chiropractic. The reason for that was because we actually fought against it. The reason why, because on the broader regulation to recognize all these traditional and complementary medical practices was only a medical doctor could practice them. So my question was to the ministry, well, what about, okay, I said that one of the things that they've actually regulated was actually leech therapy. So, well, leech therapy is a traditional approach. Okay, great, but it's not a profession. It's a therapy. It's good or bad, it's questionable, whatever the evidence is, that's all, put on the side. Anybody can actually practice it. And you could, get a monkey and teach them how to practice leech therapy. But you have chiropractic is a whole profession. It has its definitions. It has a scope of practice. It has its educational standards. And so we were challenged with that. And so initially myself, I took it to court, and then the Turkish Chiropractic Association actually, as an association, joined in on the case later on. This went ahead until actually recently, this past February, and we reworked on our relationship with the ministry, and now we're actually waiting for this regulation to go through, the educational component of this regulation. If it goes through, then there will be title protection. They will give recognition to all those doctors of chiropractic or chiropractic practitioners or chiropractors coming from abroad who have graduated from accredited institutions, as long as they can prove it. And they will sit through an examination and also an interview. And if they can actually qualify through those examinations and interviews, then they can actually practice in Turkey.
Great. Well, that's certainly great news. The fact that this does seem to be light at the end of the tunnel, because protection of title especially is crucial, and also removing the risk of being thrown in prison is quite important. Most of us face various business challenges, but imprisonment no longer is one of them for most parts of the world. Well, thank you for that. That's enlightening, and it just goes to show how easy most of us have it. And I'm sure that the profession wouldn't be in the same sort of state as it is now, with its bright future, if it wasn't for your hard work over many, many years. So what are some of the other challenges that you've noted with respect to education?
Just coming from a personal note, public health issue, or the public health topic, is a very big issue for me. It's to care for the humanity, to care for your brother, your mother, or your neighbor, or your just anyone really, is what makes the health profession so invaluable. And chiropractic is a profession that is practiced hands-on, which is the oldest way of treating ailments. Someone hurts someone and then you go and put your hands on it. And so public health is, I don't think our chiropractic educations or the curriculums in the institutions hit or concentrate on public health education enough to the prospective students. So that practitioner or that colleague, when they graduate out of school and go out into the field, their way of talking about public health is really nothing more than just showing exercises. I'm just talking in generally. So I think public health topic is a very ethical issue that needs to be addressed at schools. I don't think I had a public health class when I went to Life and when I graduated back in '97. And when I went through, different curriculums to form the curriculums for Turkey, public health classes was like maybe one or two in just different institutions, but really it's not a major issue. And yet, as a primary spine care healthcare providers, we are the first line of practitioners should be defending public health versus selling treatments. So for all institutions, chiropractic as a profession should make a good solid stand on public health issues for the already graduates like us and out in the field, and for the newcomers to think conservatively, and how can we preserve the healthy health status of the public, because like maintenance care, then it goes into issues, is there really good evidence to support that? There was a whole different dilemmas, and all of a sudden, if we don't talk about this at universities, at institutions, at our learning centers, then the person graduates with a philosophy of maintaining health through spinal care, versus the other one specifically talking about evidence-based chiropractic, only delivering a treatment for X diagnosis. And then out in the field, we don't have unity. We don't have consensus. And then so we sometimes publicly, sometimes on social media, we critique each other. We call each other names, and so that, you know, all of a sudden the profession is actually dividing. It's polarizing. And if we can actually unite it on public health, and that's what we really should care about ultimately, versus selling a technique or selling a treatment, I think that would allow the profession to be in a much, much better place years to come in those countries where it's legislated, and in countries like in Turkey where it's just you know, getting some sort of shape.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That brings me on to the role of the international community, really. Obviously, the Turkish Association is a small association with limited funds and resources, human resources too. How have you found the support from the international community, the European Chiropractors Union and so forth?
Yeah, complete support, 100% support. It's the best support is and still is actually one of the challenges that we actually faced in Turkey was, while chiropractic is just a modality that medical doctor can do, and so we can bring the evidence and show what the Europeans have done, or what the Americans have done, what the Australians have done, or the Canadians have done, and the WFC and the European Chiropractic Union and the European Academy of Chiropractic. And then they actually realize, oh, wow. So the ultimate help, or the ultimate aid, was actually years and years and years of developing the profession in countries like in the UK or the Americas, actually giving us already the evidence and all the roots of the profession to show to the policymakers or the medical practitioners in Turkey. Aside from that, the leaders of the profession, whether it be WFC or ECU, and they were always just a phone call away. Always more than happy to not just help digitally, but actually travel to Turkey, meet the ministries, just to recognize. Actually, two of them would be the Oysten Ogre in his presidency, and Ken, while still part of the accrediting agency as the president. They kindly actually came to Turkey on the second International Traditional Complementary and Alternative Medicine Congress that was funded by the Turkish Health Ministry. And so actually Richard was also going to come. However,
that's Richard Brown,
Richard Brown, exactly,
Secretary General of the WFC.
Right, and due to health issues, he couldn't travel. So I had to step into his shoes and deliver the global aspects of chiropractic, and Oysten was going to deliver the European, and Ken was going to do the educational components of it. And it was tremendous to have the European support right there. On the stage, and taking questions, explaining thoroughly, and afterwards we were invited to attend the presidential welcome in the big salon of Tayyip Erdogan, the president, and so that was overwhelming for me and for them as well, just to be in that atmosphere. But yeah, definitely had a tremendous support by the international community.
Well, that's very good to hear. And what do you think the future of chiropractic education is in Turkey?
Again, that depends on having this regulation not challenged and having it signed off. by the health minister himself. And if that goes through, I've actually personally worked on different curriculums. They will be made available for MDs, for physios, and for all other allied healthcare providers, including medical technicians, and even medical secretaries. So from different educational backgrounds, they will be able to access chiropractic education either at a bachelor level, like for a medical technician, will have to go through almost 6 years of education with the curriculum that I actually worked on. Right. And versus a medical doctor, they will have about 2,200 hours of almost like a conversion program, including clinic hours, hands-on hours, supervised by us, the chiropractors who are already here. So once the regulation gets signed off, I see the bright to be a future. I see the future to be bright for the local native prospective chiropractors. For those who will want to come from abroad to Turkey to practice, again, there will be an opportunity having their accredited licenses recognized by the Turkish state. However, financially, it won't be so great because the exchange currency between the dollar and the Turkish lira or the British pound or the euro is so great. What you earn here is only good for here, to take it back home. It's you lose out a lot. But I see the future to be bright.
And for chiropractors from abroad wishing to come and work in Turkey, is there a language requirement to speak Turkish?
That is actually one of the items that I introduced into the regulation, that there should be some sort of standard of language, so they can, because especially with the refugee issues from Syria and Iraq, and now from Afghanistan, we have actually close to 6 or 7 million refugees in Turkey, and mostly in Istanbul and in Izmir as well, in the city that I'm in. And to be able to reach them, because they do come, and they will come, and some sort of level of Turkish will be necessary. But like a basic level, nothing at a professional, PhD level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mustafa, thank you so much for your time and taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me today. I've really enjoyed hearing about the circumstances in Turkey, and I'm greatly relieved to hear that things do seem to be progressing in a positive direction after many years of trouble and toil. And I hope that that legislation gets passed, and that the future for the profession in Turkey is bright.
Thank you, Matthew.